Hello, my name's Chad Bishop, and welcome to this special sports presentation on MPW Cable's Public Access Channel 9. I'm here with Greg Harper.
Hi, Chad.
Hello. You're the owner of this facility, but more importantly, you're the race director for the Rollerhead Killer 2-mile race.
That's right. It's an indoor bike race at Harper Cycle Fitness this Saturday, January 20th.
Occurring actually in moments. It's going to be starting.
We're going to start here right about noon, and what it is an indoor bike race on rollers, Al Cratler custom rollers with a 14-pound flywheel, killer headwind, and it's a two-up race format where there's two racers competing at the same time, and on-screen graphics will show the riders' speed, projected finishing time, distance they've traveled, and relationship to the other rider if they're first or second place.
Okay, what kind of riders are you anticipating coming here? Are they just local riders, or?
No, we'll be getting riders from mostly the state of Iowa. Might get a few from Illinois because we're so close to Illinois, but it is mostly a Midwest Iowa race.
Okay, and tell us about the categories. Are they playing for money, prizes? How's this work?
They're racing for money. There are several different categories today. There's the senior men category 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
There's category 4, which is almost beginner racers. Women's, all women racers. Masters, 40-plus racers. And then we have category for beginners, category 5 racers. And the category 5 racers will be racing for medals, whereas the other 4 categories will be racing for cash prizes.
Oh, okay. Tell me a little bit about what it's like to ride these rollers in this particular format, as far as endurance, athleticism needed, or?
It's just a 2-mile all-out sprint. So some of the fastest riders will do it in the low 5-minute range. A lot of the average times are in that 6 to 7 minutes to complete that 2-mile time distance. So it's a personal race against the clock, though you are racing against somebody else at the same time. So that's like the incentive to go a little faster and have fun. You know, you say have fun while you're riding as hard as you can, which is barely 20 miles an hour, which is like long, gradual uphill. So that's what makes it so difficult.
And are you planning on racing today?
Yes, I am. I'm one of those old master 40-plus riders that I'll be trying to put my time in, try to get back down into the low to mid 5s.
What kind of strategy do you have for today?
Go fast.
Go fast and spin.
Spin.
Okay, well, we might touch base with you later on, and good luck with your race, and thanks for tuning in to Public Access Channel 9. Now let's get started with some of the racing. Okay, now we're here with Bill Harper, a competitor in today's roller race event here at Harper Schwinn in Muscatine, Iowa. What's your strategy for the day?
Survival.
And you're warming up. How long are you going to be warming up for here?
Oh, I've been going for 4 miles so far. I'll probably warm up for another 10 minutes.
And what event are you racing in?
Masters 40-plus.
Okay, and it looks like you might be one of the first racers. How do you feel about strategy-wise to be the first racer?
Oh, my number one objective is survival, as I said, and then I want to try to post a decent time. I know there's a lot of fast masters here today, but...
And tell us, why would anybody want to ride rollers like this?
Oh, competition. I mean, all the people here are competitors, and you want to do your best.
Now, it's only 2 miles, which takes approximately 6-7 minutes, but tell us a little bit about some of the pain involved.
Well, it's hard from the first pedal stroke, but...
Do you find yourself regretting it from the beginning, or?
No, only about after the first mile.
Okay. Well, keep warming up, and we'll look forward to having a good race with you, and good luck.
Thanks, Chad.
And here we go. The first race of the day, Saturday here at Harper's Cycling Fitness, with Bill Harper on the left, racing for the Mellon City Bike Club. And on the right, a cyclist from Des Moines. Quite a few people made it down here from Des Moines. You're looking at the computer interface that the riders and audience members are consulting as they race for 2 miles. You can see the estimated elapsed time in the upper part there. We're 30 seconds in. These riders are going 2 miles. The riders with the fastest elapsed times will have the highest scores. Greg Harper's on the white roller, so he's about 0.25 miles into this, just starting off. The white rollers on the right there and the green on the left are also color coordinated with the computer interface. As you can see, we've got a small crowd kind of gathering around. Most of the participants right now are in the back actually warming up Takes quite a few minutes to warm up for a race like this. To get your muscles in optimum form, get the lactic acid flowing, if you will, and get all the energy systems up and running. This is early on in the race right now. You can see these two riders have slightly different cadence. They're approaching the 0.5 mile mark, which will be a quarter of the way through. If Bill keeps up this current pace, the computer readout is indicating he'll be under 6 minutes. As you can see, he'd be at 5:54 if he kept up here. Off the left there, it says he's going 20.35, 0.28, about a little over 20 miles per hour right now. He's got his iPod rolling in his ears there. That's a technique a lot of these riders use to try to keep their mind off the pain. That voice in their head that the brain sends out that tries to slow them down, convince them that they're in pain and need to slow down. A lot of times if you can focus on something besides that voice, like a song or a thought or memory or a mantra of sorts, you can usually fend that off for quite a while. Also notice how Bill Harper on the left there is looking at his readout on his computer. There's his brother Greg cheering him on, helping him through some of this, wanting him to get a good time. Not only because they're related, but it's always good to have the local team members fare as well as possible at these events that happen. Actually, these roller races happen in 8 different places across Iowa, including Des Moines and Iowa City, Cedar Falls, Cedar Rapids. A lot of people will travel to all of them, and some of them will just do a couple a year. This is a great way to stay in shape during the winter months. Kind of brings meaning to some of those workouts that people do in the basement. As you can see, we're almost halfway through there. Bill Harper is he's approaching the 1 mile mark right there. He just hit it. He's about 3 minutes in. So he's looking at about a 6-minute time if he can hold his pace, which would be very good and will put him in good form for a nice finish in the Masters 40 Plus category in which he is competing in. Not only is it the Masters 40 Plus, but there are competitors in the beginning categories, categories 4, and there's a category 1, 2, and 3, which is your more advanced riders, and also a women's category and junior categories. So 5 or 6 different races going on here today. They race 2 at a time, a 2-up format. They're not necessarily racing against each other at the moment. However, it is often helpful to have somebody that race against that you have a chance of winning against, so that you can kind of use them as inspiration as needed. The Des Moines rider on the right has another Des Moines rider kind of helping him out. You can see over the shoulder here of Bill Harper, his perspective of the computer screen, of the computer interface that is timing this, that is giving them their lapse times, their total mileage, their current speed, and how much longer they have. Very important. As you can see, Bill in the white there on the bottom is about 1.5 miles into this. If he keeps his pace up, he's going to be under 6 minutes, again, which is very good. It's a milestone for a lot of people, in the men's category especially, to break the 6-minute barrier. And that's more of an elite rider. If you do get a chance to try these and you haven't ridden a bike much, you will find that beating 6 minutes is very near impossible, even for your more advanced athlete. If your leg muscles haven't been trained properly, and your cardiovascular system and your fitness in general is not up to par, you won't be coming anywhere near close to the time that Bill Harper's about to get here. Of course, he has many years of riding under his belt throughout his years of being affiliated with the Harper family cycling tradition. And he's down to the last 0.2 of a mile. Bill Harper on the left there. The last 0.2 are usually a time when these riders just unload. They're trying not to leave anything there. So you can imagine a sprint or any sort of race you've ever done. Whatever's left, whatever you have to give, he's going to give it up right here. If you do this right, when you finish, you are completely wiped out. Even though it was only a 6 or 7 minute race, this is some of the hardest, most agonizing pain many people will experience in their lives. So this isn't for everybody, I guess, is another way of saying that. You can tell by the look in their faces that they're in some pain right now. And Bill Harper is finishing up right now. He's got just a few tenths left here, just a little bit left. And as you can see, he's pushing one last gust of energy, and he's done. And it looks like by the computer readouts there, has broken the 6-minute mark. I believe that's one of his better times. We'll chat with him a little bit later and find out, but that's going to be a good race. So now he's just sort of keeping his legs moving and trying to flush out some of that lactic acid as this rider finishes up. As you can see, he is in pain right now and just trying to get through this with as fast a time as possible. His coach there is helping him through and still pedaling. Bill Harper obviously finished quite a bit earlier than him. However, this rider is doing well too. And another good effort for our first race of the day here at the Rollerhead Killer 2-mile race at Harper's Fitness. Good job, Bill Harper. 5:56 and some change. How do you feel?
Tired, but I feel pretty good. That's the goal. I wanted to break 6 minutes, so goal accomplished.
Is that one of your better times?
Yeah, I think it's 5:55 something if I'm not mistaken, but give or take a second, yeah, it's personal best.
What was going through your mind in the last few seconds of that race?
Just my brother Greg was yelling in my ear to keep pushing it, and that's all I did.
I noticed you had some earplugs in. What was that about?
Oh, just some the iPod, just to block out some of the pain.
Okay. Well, good job, and hopefully that should stand pretty well in your category, so we'll see.
Thanks, Chad.
Just entering the Rollerhead Killer 2-mile race is Bill Ford. Bill, welcome to the race. Tell us about why you're here.
Well, I'm here to try to compete with the rest of the riders around the state of Iowa, basically.
And you're a rider with Mellon City Bike Club, is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, tell us what about any strategies you might have for today's race.
Well, I don't want to give away too many of my strategies, but basically keep a constant speed, pick a gear that you're comfortable in and try to stay in it, and try to save some energy for the last little push, and try to get that extra countdown when you're at the end.
Okay, what kind of training or preparation have you done to lead up to this race?
Just a lot of riding, basically, a lot of time on the seat of the bike. And
have you raced any other events so far?
This is to be the second event I've raced this year in the roller races, anyway.
Are you? There's a Rider of the Year that'll be awarded in a category. Are you shooting for that? I know you have to ride at least 3 of these to qualify.
Yeah, I'll try to get that. Won the 40 plus last year, and I guess try to shoot for it this year.
Now, you've been known to sandbag from time to time. Is there anything you'd like to tell us about why your time might not be quite what it should be today?
Well, there's all kinds of excuses. Didn't get much sleep last night. I just feel tired. I worked out too hard the night before, so we'll see.
Are all those apply for today, or are you just going to pick one of them?
I leave it for when I'm on the bike, so I leave everything on the bike.
Okay, and one other thing, I was just a reminder myself, you prefer the white rollers. Now, obviously, there can't be any reason why the white rollers would be faster than the green rollers, or is there?
No, I've ridden both, and I've had the same time on both, but I prefer the whites because they're on the left side, and I can release off the handles a lot faster.
Now, which category are you entering today?
I haven't decided yet. It'd either be the 40 plus or the Cat 4.
I think the viewers at home would probably entertain the notion that you should do 40 plus. And speaking of that, who's the guy to beat here today?
Well, I don't know for sure. Greg's usually a pretty stiff competition. Greg Harper.
There's a lot of people from Des Moines came down.
Yeah, a lot of people from Des Moines. I'm not sure what the names are here right now, but of course Bill Harper. I think he entered 40 plus and
had a 5:56 already.
He had a 5:56.
Yep.
Wow. So he's done well. So if I stay in 40 plus, there will be two competitors. If I go to Cat 4, then of course my old buddy Chad here will have to. I'll have to compete against him. So.
Well, either way will sound good, and we're gonna film your race later on, and maybe touch base with you afterwards. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks.
And here we go again with another race that features a Mellon City Bike Club member. There's Eric Henriksen currently on the right part of your screen on the green rollers. And now to his right in the orange racing jersey is a DeMoss rider, a Des Moines cycling team rider who made the journey all the way down from Des Moines area just to compete in these races here today. And there's Eric Henriksen, a longtime bike rider and I believe president of the Mellon City Bike Club. There's our computer screen. Again, Eric's on the green there, so we're about 0.2 tenths of a mile in and about 39 seconds elapsed total time. Again, we're racing 2 miles here. All the riders today will be racing to see who can do it in the fastest times. They will be ranked accordingly, and the top 3 in each category will actually receive cash prizes, cash rewards for their efforts. And obviously the higher you place, the more money you would win. This is a great way to compete. And there's Eric and the view he has of the computer screen. He often, a lot of times riders will choose to look at their computer monitor on their bike and also the computer interface that's in front of them. There's a good look at the rollers that the riders are riding on. As you can see, they're not that wide. They do take a little bit of skill and practice to get used to. But once you get the hang of it, they really do give you a good representation of what it's like to ride outside. There's a killer headwind fan hooked up to the front. That's where we get the name of this race today, the Killer Rollerhead 2-mile race. That kind of replicates a headwind and provides a lot of resistance. There's also a flywheel hooked up to the back of these. As you can see, Eric's probably about a quarter of the way in. We'll check the computer in a second here, but sort of intently gazing at the readout and coming up with a game plan, seeing what his body's going to let him do today. He's probably got a goal in his mind as far as where he wants to be, and probably trying to stay the course at this point. It looks like he's, if he can keep this up, he'll be at about 6 minutes and 35 seconds there, about 0.7 tenths of the way through. As you can see, he's the green dot on the roadway down there, so he's a little bit ahead of his the other rider who's riding with him, who's just a little bit behind. There he is. Still early in the race, though. The true suffering, if you will, the true exhaustion and lactate threshold has not quite kicked in at this point in the race for most riders. They still have way over halfway to go, and of course the second half of this race, because of the cumulative effects of the lactate building in the legs and the cardiovascular system sort of being pushed their limits, usually tends to be harder than the first part. And traveling at about 18 miles per hour, as you can see from the left readout there, and elapsed time is about 3 minutes, that yellow box in the top. There's another shot of Eric. Member of the Mellon City Bike Club. That's a local club here in town. They've got a lot of riders. Not all of them race like this. Actually, the majority of people in the Mellon City Bike Club are more of a recreational rides. They do a lot of rides on Mondays at all sorts of paces and speeds, from your competitive racers all the way to your kind of casual speeds that where you can talk and enjoy and basically enjoy the outdoors and the scenery while you go. But this today is about the racers in the club, the people that like to not only stay in shape and enjoy bike riding and scenery, but they also like to compete, and they also like to get their bodies in optimum condition so that they can represent themselves well when they do compete and give themselves a real honest chance at winning or placing well when they travel to the different events. This is a roller race. Of course, there's road races, criteriums, mountain biking races, all sorts of ways that people in the bike club here in town do compete. This particular format of racing, I have found anyway, to be one of the harder ones, even though it's short. It's done in about 6 minutes. Yeah, you really do experience a kind of pain that isn't something natural in a lot of other competitions and sports. So it's not for everybody, but again, you don't have to race when you ride these rollers, though. You can keep the pace a little bit lower and just sort of get in shape, burn some calories. And essentially why this occurs for a lot of racers in town is they just want to hold on to their fitness so that they're ready for the spring debut of the racing season that happens through the United States Cycling Association sanctioned events. There's a lot of them in Iowa and Illinois and across the Midwest. So if you're interested in this at all, don't be afraid to come down to Harper's and find out more about the bike club, or visit the website at melloncity.org. Now back to the racing action. As you can see, Eric is showing a little bit of fatigue. His cadence and pace are fine. The bike's beginning to wobble just a bit, as is natural when your brain is sort of being overloaded with different strains and stresses, and directing the blood flow to the legs right now. And we'll have to see where Eric's at again, but the race is coming down to the last parts. Members of the crowd are encouraging him, which is always helpful. makes it a lot easier to push your body to the absolute extent of its abilities. As you can see, Eric is at about the 1.8 mile mark, which would be 0.2 tenths of a mile left. A lapse time of 5:53. So he's looking good. He's going to be in the 6-minute mark somewhere. Looks like he's given it all he's got right now. The computer's guesstimating he's going to finish in about 6 minutes and 30 seconds. So he's got about 20 seconds left, depending on how much he can push out of his legs right now, how much more he can deliver. Down to the last tenth of a mile, as you can see, he's over 20 miles per hour right now. So he did have some in reserve, and he's trying to get that top speed up as high as possible, even though he's got just a little bit left here. And here he comes now to his final few strokes, and it looks like he is done in a respectable time of 6:31.5 for Eric Henriksen, member of the Mellon City Bike Club. All right, now we're here with Eric Henriksen of the Mellon City Bike Club. Good race, 6:32 and some change.
Yeah, change.
How do you feel about how you did?
I feel pretty good. It's like the second best ride of the year. So,
Did you have any?
You always want a little bit more, but that's all I got.
Did you have any preset goals in mind with this particular one?
6:30. So
Okay.
I was a second half off, but
Okay, now tell us a little bit about what brings you out here today in general.
I was just supporting the club and just out here for fitness and getting ready for the Tri-Mellon Tri next weekend.
And you just raced. I saw you warmed up for quite a while. What are you doing now?
I'm cooling down because you want your body to come down off all that strenuous exercise there.
Okay, well, great. Well, congratulations on your ride, and we'll let you get back to it.
Hey, thanks a lot.
My time is coming. I'm also entered in the Rollerhead 2-mile race in the category 4. Some good competition and some good times have already happened, so makes things a little more nerve-wracking. I was hoping to get second or third place today. Right now, in the back room here at Harper's, in the warm-up mode, people like to warm up at least 15 to 20 minutes, get their legs ready. Shaves a lot of time off of their actual event. We'll see how it goes. And our next featured race of the day occurred between myself, Chad Bishop on the right there, and Bill Ford, another Mellon City Bike Club cyclist, known for his endurance efforts. I think he had around 8,000 miles, along with Joe Mann, who's actually in the background there. They've done many long distances. I know Bill's done a couple of, or at least one 200-mile race. So anyway, we're racing here today in our first 0.10 of a mile there. I'm in the green numbers, and white colors are represented with Bill Ford. There's a shot of me. As we're early on in this race, those early indications from the computer interface on this Rollerhead Killer 2-mile roller race here at Harper Schwinn indicated that we're both going to be finishing this race under 6 minutes as long as we keep up that current pace. I'm at 5:42 pace, so if I could hold that long enough. We're both well over 20 miles per hour, which is a good place to start for these races. A lot of times, some people got sort of phenomenal abilities and are able to do this in around 5 minutes and 20 seconds. But for most people, they're trying to get under 6 minutes. Most seasoned athletes actually are trying to get under 6 minutes. Beginners and novices will really just be happy to finish or get a time in the 7 or 8 minute mark, because this is really harder than it looks. Or maybe it does look hard, but this is definitely a strenuous activity. It's a sprint. It's a 2-mile sprint. So anyway, both of us here are riding for the Mellon City Bike Club. Myself on the right there, Chad Bishop and Bill Ford. We ride together a lot on Tuesdays and at some different racing events throughout the year. I happen to be up next and decided to go ahead and try out these green rollers. However, there is some suspicion, if you will, almost controversy, that the white rollers are faster than the green. Now, obviously, there isn't really much justification to that based on the color. But I'll have to say I was a little nervous about riding on the green ones when almost all of the higher scores, shortest elapsed times were done on the white rollers. So, but I'm giving it a shot, and so far me and Bill are actually neck and neck, as you can see. We're both right there on the bottom, green and white boxes representing our ride. We're right at the same time and approximately the same distance, both over 20 miles per hour. And we're about 2 minutes into this race, about 2.5 minutes in of this 2-mile roller race, indoor cycling race, sanctioned through the United States Cycling Association here. It's a regional race that occurs all throughout Iowa. It made a stop here in Muscatine, and that's what you're watching here on Public Access Channel 9 on the MPW cable system. If you've just tuned in, this has been quite an exciting race, a series of racers from all across Iowa, including Des Moines and West Burlington, Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, Cedar Falls. Riders come from all over throughout the series, trying to compete in as many as possible, because if they've competed enough, they qualify. They can qualify to become the Rider of the Year and win additional money and prizes above and beyond what they're eligible to win at this particular race. I'm racing in a Category 4 competition, which is a category beyond the beginner status and into the more seasoned, experienced riding level of skill and experience. And Bill Ford, also a Category 4 rider, is riding in the Masters category, which is in some ways tougher depending on who shows up to the event. As you can see, we've got quite a few onlookers for this particular race. A lot of the other Category 4 riders and Masters Plus are going to be keeping their eyes on us to make sure that we don't beat their scores, their elapsed times, and if they haven't ridden yet, they're going to see what they have to do to place higher than us. Obviously, this is a competition. It's a serious one, and they want to win if possible. So that attributes a lot of the people looking on right now. And a lot of local spectators and family members make the trip down to help cheer us on as we're riding here on the south end part of Muscatine for the Mellon City Bike Club. As you can see, now we're at about 1.5 miles in. This is the hardest part of the race. As you can see, I'm starting to struggle a little bit, as is Bill, and wondering what kind of time we can maintain. It looks like Bill Ford's pushing it a little. He's in the white there. He's going about 1 mile per hour faster at this point, and my legs are giving out just slightly. Trying to get under 6 minutes though, and I'm at 6:01.6. So at this point in the race, it's really a gut check time to see what can you muster, what more can you get from your legs at this particular date. I've gotten times well under 6 minutes before. I scored a 5:49 at one point, so obviously I'm not on par for personal best, not even really close actually. But Bill Ford seems to have left a little bit on the table and is actually picking up his pace. Now this is sort of painful for me to relive, because looking at the expression on my face and remembering how much pain I was in at that moment, I know that this was not an easy race to finish, and actually one of the harder ones for whatever reason for me to finish. My bike is wobbling, as is Bill's, and he's about done. I'm just a little bit behind him. We've got the last 2/10 push here. This is where we let it all go, and it looks like I'm going to still be able to get under 6 minutes if I can hold on to this for the last 1/10 of a mile. And Bill Ford's almost done here. We're both giving it one last push. And there goes Bill. He just finished at 5:49.2, and I've got just a little bit longer to go if I can stay on those rollers without falling off. And of course I can. Painful as it looks, yes it is. And finished at 5:58 or 5:59, I believe, under 6 minutes. So we're still good, and that was our race, Bill Ford versus Chad Bishop, here at the Rollerhead Killer 2-mile race of the indoor cycling series held throughout Iowa. And now we're sort of pedaling out some of that pain and reliving the experience. And one of the final races of the day featured Greg Harper, who actually is the director for this race and one of the owners in the Harper family of Harper Cycling and Fitness. He's on the right there wearing the Mellon City Cycling Club racing and recreational team jersey, and racing against a man named Dave Hammer, who's a member of the Des Moines cycling team. He brought a pretty large group from Des Moines down. They traveled all the way down, and as did some of us travel up to Des Moines to race at Des Moines West Valley Mall when the racing series went up there. There are several more races left this year in the racing series, but this one was held right here in Muscatine, so we're filming it through the Muscatine Community College Video Department for playback on MPW Cable Channel 9 as we watch these two men race 2 miles on the rollers to see who can get who can do it in the least amount of time. A minute in, and about 0.3 tenths of a mile into this race, as both Greg and his opponent at this point are starting out at a fairly even-keeled pace. Now Greg usually has been riding for many years, obviously, and can get times quite a bit lower than the 6-minute mark, so it looks like he might be struggling just a bit today. And that's sort of the nature of this sort of racing. Sometimes your body and your fitness have peaked in a way that will give you a phenomenal time. In other days, if you've had a rough week or exercised or trained too hard or too little, you can fare fairly poorly on these, because these races come down to tenths of seconds as far as who wins and who comes in second and third and who comes in last place. Most people that are racing today, though, even if they do score in a lower placing, are still among your most elite riders in the amateur level, that is, here in Iowa. Looks like Mr. Hammer on the white rollers is a little bit above 20 miles per hour, and Greg is sort of struggling to get up to the 20 mile per hour mark. That's usually where he wants to stay for the beginning parts of the race to allow a little bit left for the final pushes. Both riders seen here from the overhead view. Riding here for the Mellon City Bike Club. There was about 6 or 7 entrants locally among the 30 or 40 that usually attend from parks all across Iowa, as I mentioned earlier. And because this was a local one, we'll have a couple more Muscatine entrants as well. There were more Muscatine spectators, family and friends. Now we're approaching the halfway mark. As you can see, the elapsed time is about at 3 minutes, and both riders are looking fairly solid, though Greg's going to have an uphill battle if he wants to win this one today. But there's still plenty of time left, and if his strategy was to hold off till the second part of the race, then we might see a pretty exciting finish here. Bill Ford, another teammate, is in his ear, trying to talk him through this a little bit, maybe give him some words of encouragement, maybe help him get through some of this pain and find some energy reserves, some performance that he maybe didn't know was there. It's a good shot of Dave Hammer in the orange there, showing his concentration. Some of his teammates and colleagues are there looking on, giving him support. And Greg's mom can be seen there in the purple, looking on. And actually Greg's dad Charlie's in the background enjoying a cup of coffee and the racing and watching his son fare fairly well here in the 2-mile indoor cycling roller race that was held here at Muscatine in January of 2007. Looks like Greg's time was about 6:18 as far as what his estimated elapsed time will be, and that's going to be a disappointing time if that's what he ends up with. Now he's at 6:21. Plenty of time left in the race, but that is not an indication of a strong ride today. So like I said, he'll be a little disappointed with that. But if you ever do get a chance to ride this particular race format, you will understand that even a time in the 6-minute mark is still an indication of a very, very healthy and agile cycling athlete. However, compared to other efforts, this isn't one of Greg's better times. Rounding out the event now, towards the latter stages of this 2-mile race, and Greg Harper just gave a glance up at the screen. Definitely not a look of encouragement. But in the big picture, as far as overall fitness goes, it's important to attend every one of these and to give it your all, because these all build up to a kind of a spring fitness that we're all aspiring to as amateur cyclists, because the bigger events, cycling-wise, race-wise, occur in the spring, early spring, and early parts of the summer. So racing now in the winter like this will give us a definite advantage over our competition come spring. And as you can see, both men now are struggling as they're down to the last parts of this race, the hardest parts, trying to unload every last bit of energy, every last bit of strength getting through the pain, the lactic buildup that forms in the leg muscles, and the stress that you put on your cardiovascular system all comes to a head right here as you push through these last few pedal strokes. Just trying to hang on and give it a nice final push. As you can see, Dave Hammer is well over 22 miles per hour right now, and Greg's right at the 20 mile per hour mark. Dave Hammer finished at just under 6 minutes, so he's getting a round of applause from his teammates who know that's a good score for him. And Greg Harper's still yet to finish, but he's right about there. He found some more energy and almost got it up to 21 miles per hour as he finishes this one off in the 6 minute and upper teens for Greg Harper, the Rollerhead race here in Muscatine. Okay, so you just finished your race. How did it go?
I've had better rides. 2 weeks ago I had a phenomenal ride. Past 2 weeks, lack of training really shows off that didn't have the legs today. Younger brother Billy showed the colors with a good fast time.
Was that going through your head as you got towards the last part? Or were you thinking of different times that you wanted to put in?
I was just thinking of just wanting to finish the 2 miles. It was hard. When I'm normally a 5 minute time, 5 something, 5:50. When I was a 16s. Once I realized my time was in the 6s, is in survival mode.
At what point did you realize this was not the race?
Had a half mile in.
Half mile in that early?
Yeah, because I break the race up, the 2 mile race up into half mile segments. Half mile, mile, mile and a half, and then last 2 tenths, try giving it all I got. Today at a half mile in, after staring at my computer, glance up the monitor, and I see my time was barely 5:50 something. I knew that wasn't fast enough because it needs to be 5:40s, 5:50s at a half mile in for me to have a good time. It just wasn't there. Today wasn't my day, but we had a great turnout. A lot of riders from Des Moines. Thank you guys. DMOS team. Several riders from Cedar Falls and the Bike Tech cycling team. I don't know where the Quad City Dice riders were. Hello, Dice. Are you listening? How are the Quad Cities?
Now that this race is over, what are your plans for the future as far as your training? Are you going to do anything differently, or?
Yeah, I'm going to ride more. I haven't been riding enough. I've been sort of trying to focus on the Tri-Mile and Tri, which is coming up next Sunday, where I'm going to do the bike portion, the airdyne portion. Daughter Erica Henderson's going to do the swim and the run of the Tri-Mile and Tri. So, after today, I have a race tomorrow in Washington, Iowa, at the Victoria House Bed and Breakfast. I'm going down there. Hopefully I'll redeem myself and have a 5 something time, anything 5.
And what would you say to viewers watching this about getting involved with the roller racing or indoor training in general?
Indoor training in general. Stop down to Harper Cycle Fitness on Friday nights. We have our own the same 2 mile race every Friday here at the store. We start at 5. We're usually done by 7. We're not riding the whole 2 hours, but it's a 2 mile race. If you've never done it, come down and watch us. Fridays at Harper Cycle Fitness.
And also should we note I was on the green rollers. You can ask any of the top scorers. All of them were done on the white rollers. They're allegedly twice as fast and known for the results. I figured I could win it with the green ones. Got a little too cocky for my own good.
Well, there you have it, Chad Bishop, after just finishing his wonderful 2 mile torture ride. That was Chad in the background, getting rid of some toxins.